Hello there, and welcome back to Hydroponics Daily, your go-to podcast for everything soilless cultivation. I'm your host, Dr. Russell Sharp, the founder of Utrema Limited, and we manufacture fertilizers, biostimulants, and organic biopesticides for hydroponics and other sectors. And it's a good job we sell to other sectors because the hydroponic sector in the UK and Europe is suffering at the moment. A lot of vertical farms have gone bust. A lot of hydro shops are no longer in business. My sales manager went out on the road yesterday in the Midlands around Birmingham, Wolverhampton, place like that, Derby. Loads of the shops he went to visit were not even open and had closed down or just not trading at the moment. And that's due to a number of reasons. The hydroponic industry not helping itself, but also government tax and regulations. And today I want to talk about a specific one about regulations in Europe, which includes the UK, because we subscribe to a lot of the EU laws because of historical purposes and because they're forced on us. And one of those is the biocides regulation, and a really interesting article I read today about the use of peroxide. Now, peroxide is used to control biofilms and microbial growth in hydroponics. Fairly standard. You can't really get away with not using some sort of disinfection in hydroponics because algae and bacteria love to live and grow in the same conditions that plants do. And also the plants are providing exudates to feed microbes, and they feed on these and they can get in the way and they can cause issues. So people use peroxide. Peroxide is a registered biocide and silver stabilized. Hydroxide is used routinely for this, and you can purchase it for it, and there's no issue with that. However, the men in grey suits who sit in their job, and all their job is to enforce regulations and stifle innovation and stifle business, who really get on my effing TITs, they have decided in the Netherlands that the growers are breaking the law. And there was an interview with them where they said, possibly unsafe tomatoes are being produced. And what it was is, rather than just doing single doses of hydrogen peroxide, the growers were microdosing continuously the hydrogen peroxide in there. And this is not allowed according to the label on the peroxide. Has to be one-off treatments. And so they fined all the growers that they found that were doing this, because it wasn't according to the label. Now, I have got no issue with this if it's due to worker safety or it's due to corrosion and it could physically damage, unsafe materials and things like that. So maybe it was corrosion issue. It wasn't. It's because of potentially unsafe produce. But that's absolute nonsense, because if you apply peroxide to a crop, even if you put it on the actual crop just before you harvest it, most of the peroxide is spent within 5 to 30 minutes, and it is effectively gone near zero residues after 1 to 3 hours. So the idea that they would be going to supermarkets and these would be potentially unsafe tomatoes is absolute nonsense. And it's just a case of regulators seeing a problem, because in the letter of the law, this is an issue. But flipping heck, mate, cut farmers some slack. This is not there's no potential issue here whatsoever. And it's a case of, America innovates, China replicates, and Europe regulates. And that's what it flipping loves to do, and drives me bonkers. And the answer to this is not, oh, right, let's just use common sense. The answer is let's have a moratorium. Let's not a moratorium, a consultation, and let's spend hours and hours in Brussels coming up with work task forces and what do they call them? Rapporteurs, and let's spend millions of pounds to slightly change the allowance on hydrogen peroxide to allow inline dosing, when really it's just a bit of common sense would do. I have the same issue here in the UK. I go to a number of events that are supposed to be boosting biotechnology, boosting the agri-tech sector, and a third of the audience are there from regulators who really their day-to-day job is stifling innovation. And I just get to be annoyed that they attend these events because they're not helping industry. The politicians on top say that they want to cut red tape, they want to cut regulations, and they want the regulators to use common sense. But, if that meant that you didn't have a job then obviously you're just going to carry on enforcing these silly rules. So yeah, I mean, hydrogen peroxide, don't continuously dose it. Make sure you're only using it every now and again, because you could be creating possibly unsafe tomatoes or other crops. You do want to avoid continuously dosing hydrogen peroxide if you can, but that's because it doesn't help the roots. It produces damage to the roots, and you will be reducing yield by continuously dosing hydrogen peroxide. So you're better off creating a clean system and having other systems in place to, at the end of the day, reduce your hydrogen peroxide. You want to be using as little hydrogen peroxide as possible, just from a plant health and yield perspective. But I don't consider there to be any danger with using hydrogen peroxide. There is to the user. I mean, I hate hydrogen peroxide. I think it's a horrible chemical. If you get it on your skin, it instantly hurts and produces a burn. But I would have no issue with crops being sprayed with it, because I know it breaks down in such a quick time. It's so reactive. So crazy situation over there in Holland. Feel for those farmers. And yeah, interesting that it's being enforced in Holland and not Spain, in Italy and Mediterranean countries. Don't think the regulators over there would have too much of an issue anywhere where they're growing serious volumes. It's definitely a Northern European thing, enforcing the letter of the law, and then down in the south of Europe, enforcing the spirit of the law. That seems to be the case. One of the reasons why in the UK, the majority voted for Brexit, because we like to follow the letter of the law, and it is enforced, the letter of the law, whereas we find a lot of countries in Europe, it's not enforced, so you don't get a level playing field. Anyway, that's enough of a rant. If you like this podcast, please leave a review on Apple Podcasts. Make sure you follow to hear more of my stupid rants. And check out utrema.co.uk, where you can check out loads of fertilisers, biostimulants, and biopesticides that comply with EU regulations on basic substances, which, when I talk about regulations and I say I hate them, if it wasn't for EU basic substance regulations, I would probably not be in business, because I'm the only person who actually bothered to read the regulations when they came out in 2016 and was able to have a competitive advantage because of that. So yeah, it's not all bad news when it comes to the European Union. I'll give you that. All right, that's been Hydroponics Daily for today, and I'll see you again tomorrow.